Hello, welcome back to the second part of the video Married to an Iranian. If you are new to this channel, let me introduce myself first. I'm Katya and I have been married to an Iranian for 13 years. And I decided to share some of my experience with you as well, all the things that I learned from these 13 years. I already published part 1 of this video where I covered the legal aspect of this kind of marriage and also basics of this marriage, like religion, family, and some family roles that are common in Iran. So if you haven't seen this video, definitely check this video out. Before making these videos, I asked my followers on Instagram to ask me questions about marrying an Iranian, and I already answered a few of them in the first video, and in this video I am going to speak mostly about cultural differences and of course cultural similarities and how to overcome them. So here are a few questions that I received on Instagram. Before I answer each of the questions in particular and speak about specific cultural differences, I would like to say a few general things. One of the biggest lessons that I learned from being married to an Iranian for over a decade is that when you're marrying outside your culture and outside your language and country, you really need to be prepared for being misunderstood and for misunderstanding your partner. You need to be prepared for that, and you need to accept that and accept this chance that you may misunderstand or understand what your partner is saying in the wrong way, or your partner may not fully understand what you are saying, what you mean actually by saying these words. Because even if you have a common language, probably it is not a mother tongue to one of you, or maybe even both of you. If you speak English, for example, and both of you belong to other countries and cultures, people speaking a non-native language may not be able to explain themselves in the best way, just as they would do in their own language. Even if you speak this language perfectly, fluently, or even like this is your native language, this is your mother tongue, still different people put different meaning into certain words, certain notions. Like, for example, what is clean? What is family? What is a home? For each of us, these words mean different things. Like for one person, some place may seem clean enough to sit there, for example, while for other people it is not clean enough. In Russia, for example, due to the climate, we rarely sit on the ground because it's most of the time it's cold or wet. But in Iran, it's a very common thing just to sit on the ground, to sit on the lawn, and it's perfectly fine and it's perfectly clean. On my first trips to Iran, sometimes when my husband would suggest sitting like on a lawn or somewhere else, it was like, for me, it was very strange because in Russia we don't do that. When we speak about deeper things like love or family or a home, these things may also mean different things to different people, not necessarily based on their culture, but also based on the family or on the background, on the place they grew up. Like I said, regarding the climate, for example. And that is why it is really important to talk a lot, to discuss all these things a lot, to get more familiar with each other, like what we mean when we say this word, when we use this word, what our expectations from a home are. For an Iranian, it may mean a big apartment with at least one bedroom with nice furniture where they can accept guests, while for another person it may mean like a studio where they would feel comfortable and where they would have the rest they need after work, for example. This is really important to keep it in mind and not get offended right away, not get into an argument right away, but just to talk it out and see what your partner really means by saying all these things, and what expectations, what image of these things they have. So my biggest advice would be to be ready to compromise, and it is really important that both partners are ready to talk, to compromise, and find some middle ground. And of course, I think what really helps is to try to learn more about your partner's background and what circumstances and what culture they grew up in. And because I was very interested in Iran and Iranian culture, and I had been studying it for a few years already when I met my husband. That's why for me probably it was a bit easier, because I already had some background. Let me speak a bit more about my personal story. My husband and I got married quite early, I think. I think I was like 22 or maybe 23 years old. My husband is just a couple of years older than me, so none of us had any prior experience of living independently alone. That's why when we got married, we lived a few years with my husband's parents, and then we moved out, and this was the first experience living independently for both of us. And I think that helped us tremendously, because none of us had any routine or any habits in particular. So we actually built our home from scratch and built our routine from scratch. And that is why we explored what is comfortable for us, what kind of life is comfortable for both of us. When you are getting married, when you're older, both of you have their own habits, their own image of a house, what you want it to look like, and your daily routine, and you are already so used to living independently and by yourself that it may be a bit harder to adjust your routine to the other person's routine. I already received one question about our family roles at home. Tried to share all the house chores between us, and to see what every one of us is comfortable doing. For example, my husband doesn't cook, so I always cook for both of us. On the other hand, he, for example, washes the dishes. It works the same way in any other things. Another thing that I want to share about responsibilities is that we have noticed recently that whenever we're in Iran, my husband needs to take up more responsibilities. Like, for example, he needs to do some stuff for his family and spend time with his family, and needs to do sometimes some paperwork for both of us. And sometimes he feels kind of pressure because of this. And when we go to Russia, he can finally relax, because in Russia I do the most of the paperwork, and also I need to spend more time with the family. That's why while we're in Russia, I feel under the pressure sometimes, and probably the only place where we can really be equal is in a third country, which we haven't tried yet. You also need to keep that in mind. You may not be absolutely equal, because probably your Iranian husband doesn't have the citizenship yet. You may have to take up more responsibilities. Before I speak about cultural differences, I would like to speak about cultural similarities. Both in Russia and in Iran, a traditional type of family is more common, and the family is of a great value both in Russia and in Iran. People want to have kids and people want to get married. So the family roles are pretty much the same in Russia and in Iran. Although I would say that in Iran, there is less pressure on women than in Russia, because in Iran it's okay not to work if the woman doesn't work, but in Russia women are supposed to have both a career and also take care of the children and the household, and that imposes a lot of pressure on women. But of course, both in Russia and Iran, things have been changing recently a lot in the past maybe 10 years, 10, 15 years. Young families may look quite different and may work quite differently. Expectations like my expectations and my husband's expectations from a family and from the partner were quite similar. Although I must say that I wouldn't call our family very traditional, because both of us are trying to maintain some kind of partnership and equal participation in everything, in all aspects of our family life. Maybe that's because we share the same image of a traditional family that we actually maybe didn't like and didn't approve of, and that is why maybe we finally ended up with this kind of partnership. I don't know, that's too deep, I think, for today's talk. Another similarity that my husband and I share is that both of us were born in 1980s, and that is why we share quite a lot of similar things that happened in our childhood, from the cartoons and the games that we used to play to problems that we experienced because of the hard economical situation during our childhood years. And this is, I think, what actually most millennials of the world share, and how difficult sometimes it is for them to adapt to this new era, digital era, and to the new lifestyle, I would say. The way sometimes our generation feels at loss is something that both of us share and both of us can understand. And that's actually huge, and that's, I think, very important for partners. And actually that's what is more like universal and doesn't relate to the particular culture the person comes from. Let's move on and finally talk about cultural differences. One of the things that really surprises Iranians is that I changed my last name. In Russia, it's a tradition when a woman changes her last name when she gets married and accepts her husband's last name. And naturally, like the whole family, like the wife and the husband and their children, they have the same last name. But in Iran, it's very different. Like the woman keeps her last name, although, for example, people who know her after she got married and know her through her family and through her husband, for example, in their building, like the neighbors may call her by her husband's last name. Children, though, in Iran, they receive their father's last name. So in the family, like the man and the kids, they have the same last name, they share the last name, but the woman, she has a totally different last name. Iranian women are saying like, wow, how did you decide to give up your last name? It's a part of your identity, of who you are, and it like makes you independent. But actually what I had in mind was that I knew that we would live in Iran for at least a few years, and I thought that it might be easier if I have an Iranian last name while living in Iran. But I think that I didn't make it easier for myself. My husband's last name is not maybe very common. A lot of people pronounce it wrong, and I constantly need to correct them, and that's irritating. And I imagine that it didn't make any difference if I had a Russian last name here. This was one of the reasons why I did it. And the other one, of course, because it's a tradition in Russia. Although I must say that some of my friends who got married later, like maybe in their 30s, they didn't change their last name because they already accomplished quite a lot of things, and they didn't want to change all the documents. There are a few things that are different between Iranian men and Russian men. One of the things is that Iranian men are generally very overprotective, because this is actually how women are brought up in families. The whole family, their main duty in the family is to protect the girls, the daughters of the family, and that is why some men may sound quite overprotective, sometimes it's just too much. I have seen that a lot, especially when a woman is a newcomer, like a foreign woman who comes to Iran and she's a newcomer, she just arrived, but she wants to go to explore the city or wants to go out, but she doesn't speak much Persian, for example. And then the husband, he really feels like he needs to protect her, and he either goes everywhere with her, takes her everywhere, or he doesn't let her go out alone. And because the man usually works, and that's why the woman is stuck at home. When I was looking for a job, when I just came to Iran, just moved to Iran, I went to a lot of companies and places for a job interview, but sometimes my husband would say that no, you shouldn't go, you shouldn't accept the job, the place is not good for you. And I would argue how do you know that? And so yeah, I have experienced this as well, although when my husband realized that I got to know Tehran sometimes even better than him, and went to places he never went to, and my Persian is quite fine, that's why he stopped being so overprotective. Another thing that makes Iranian men different is the showing of the affection. Well, you need to keep in mind that in Iran, in the past 45 years, it has not been allowed to show affection in public, to hold hands or kiss or hug each other. The generation that grew up during these years, they didn't see showing of affection on TV or maybe even their families, because a lot of families are traditional families and not based on romantic love. That is why the husband and the wife may not show any affection to each other at all. And that is why that generation may not be very comfortable showing their affection in public as well, and may not even know how to do that. The younger generation, those who are in their teens or maybe early 20s, grew up in the times of the internet and social media. That is why they know it perfectly well, and they do it perfectly well in public. Language is also a big issue in these kind of marriages. So I'm going to start with my personal situation. I already knew Persian quite well when I met my husband, and that's why we started talking Persian from the very beginning. Still, Persian is the language of our family, of our household, and we speak only Persian. Although at the beginning we tried to switch to different languages, we tried to do English day during the week at least once maybe, and my husband also tried to learn Russian, but soon we realized that speaking Persian is much easier because I knew it well enough, and especially at the beginning when you experience a lot of misunderstanding and there is a lot of talking, and you really need to understand what your partner is saying and what he or she means. By that, that's why we decided to finally stick to Persian. I would say that if you want to live in Iran, learning Persian is vital because it's really difficult to find a job without any Persian. Sometimes it's difficult to get around without knowing any Persian at all. And of course, spending time with the family and finding friends may also be difficult, and socializing may also be difficult if you don't know the language. But if you are going to stay in your country or live somewhere outside Iran, it would still be great to learn some Persian because Iranian families, especially the older generation, not necessarily speak English or other languages. And that's why to be able to get to know his family, I think that would be nice to learn some Persian, at least some basic Persian. By the way, I teach Persian. I have a course for complete beginners, which can be a great starting point for those who want to start learning Persian and to see how it feels, how it works, learn a few phrases to be able to have a small talk with their partner's family. So it's called Express Persian course, and I will leave the link and all the details in caption, so you can go check it out right now. Even if you want to learn the language by yourself, on my channel I have a few videos where I share tips and tricks about learning Persian by yourself and even starting from scratch. So check out the playlist. I will share the link as well. When my husband and I traveled to Russia, because his Russian is not that good, unfortunately, he can understand the Russian pretty well because he heard a lot of it during these years when we were staying in Russia every now and then. But unfortunately, he doesn't speak that well, and that is why when we're in Russia, I am his interpreter. It can be sometimes difficult and tiring, especially when it's evening and we are back from somewhere and we're tired, but I still have to translate so that my husband can have some small talk with my parents. For example, when my husband is talking to my mother and they are discussing some topic, and then sometimes it goes even further than a mere translation, because I have to explain some things, because I have to explain what my mother background is, and what she probably means by saying that, or give some points or some extra information about the things that my mother is talking about. And that is why sometimes like when my mom says just one sentence or a couple of sentences, I have to say like 10 sentences to my husband. And also sometimes it's really difficult to stay out of the discussion and be just an interpreter, because sometimes I really want to participate in this discussion as well and express my own opinion. Sometimes it's really difficult to maintain this balance between an interpreter and expressing my opinion as well. But with all that, I still think that that is one of the best things that contributed to my being an interpreter, because I received a lot of practice. It helped me a lot in my job as well, because occasionally I work as an interpreter as well. For me, yeah, sometimes it can be hard, but on the other hand, like the experience it gives me is much more precious and valuable than the drawbacks that come with that. Well, I think that was pretty much everything that I wanted to share with you today, and I am really excited to hear about your story, and don't hesitate to share your story and your experience of being married to an Iranian, or maybe being in a relationship with an Iranian, in comments. And also, if there is anything that I forgot to speak about, I would really appreciate all your comments and all the things that you faced while being in a relationship with an Iranian. Hope to see you in another video, in another vlog. If you have anything in mind that you would like to know about living in Iran, about Iran in general, please also let me know, and maybe this will be the topic of my next video. So see you soon, and Khodafez.